Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome. This is Somaliland National Television. You're watching the English news program with me, Mohammed Jibril. Here the stories making main headlines. Deputy manager of the One newspaper informs SLN TV about the achievement of the paper. The coordinator of Ministry of Livestock in Sara region held a press conference in Ainaba. Greek announces government reshuffle in fallout from European election defeat. Ministry of Planning and National Development Saad Ali Shere finalized a two-day conference on development objectives achieved by Somaliland government in cooperation with the donor nations.
A large number of representatives from varied aid organizations attended the closing day of the Somaliland Ministry of Planning's 6th High-Level Aid Coordination Forum. Attendees included representatives from the UN, World Bank, and various Somaliland ministries. The forum, chaired by Somaliland Minister of Planning, the Honorable Dr. Saad Ali Shere, concluded today at the Ambassador Hotel in Hargeisa. The topic of discussion was a follow-up to the New Deal arrangement for Somaliland and the Somaliland Development Fund. The following are few of many of the points discussed over the course of the 2 days of this forum.
Here we're talking about charcoal production and land use. The key points were land use, restoration, conservation, and I think we also need a stock take of the environment. We had a household survey. We need an environmental survey as well, because it's very important. Agriculture contribution from the survey was only 8%, but that's farming, just 8%. Which I think explains the fact that we rely on imports for 85% of what we consume, which is absolutely untenable. We're so food insecure that's absolutely not sustainable. We cannot manage any shocks, that may come either from exterior or from interior. We're so vulnerable. We need to do something about food production. And the key points raised were increasing productivity through better management and more inputs into agriculture, inputs which may improve seed, chemicals, machineries and labor, and also we need to encourage co-op formation. We don't have co-ops, functioning co-ops in this country. In Kenya, they have an entire ministry for co-ops. I really would propose that we have a corresponding co-op ministry here, because it's so important. Because in order to produce anything, you need to put together labor and capital and know-how as well, and that comes through co-ops and associations and large businesses. We need to commercialize our agriculture. It's now very much subsistence. With subsistence farming, we can produce enough we can eat.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank the distinguished participants in this forum. My name is Farah Alimi. I am Minister of Agriculture. Agriculture here stands for the crop production. We are a country of food insecure. The crop production in Somaliland divides into two types. The agriculture agriculture, which produces or involves the cereal crops, and irrigation agriculture, which involves mostly the production of vegetables and fruits. And there are many constraints in the agricultural sector, but the most important and strategic priority for the agricultural sector, we summarize here into 5 points. The first priority for Somaliland agriculture, as you know, land degradation or environmental degradation is amazing. Our first priority is rainwater harvesting. And I mean watershed management. We have 6 big watersheds in Somalia. Only one watershed is under intervention, Durdur watershed.
Then what livestock is, what we need, our objective is to have a herd of livestock which is healthy, a herd of livestock which is protected. The livestock should be marketable. That's where we need to be attacked, so that we need a livestock healthy. We have made this change of livestock for the last 2 years. Our exportation of livestock has come from 1,800,000 sheep and goats up to now and 3,500,000 because there are some reasons. But one of the most important reasons is that because we have made about 10 million heads of livestock has been vaccinated and treated. So what we need is our, go ahead please, that is the export. Okay, you can see, I think it's in your, that's the statistic, the change from 2020 to 2000, that's the statistic, the change from 2020 to 2014. So that the major important thing that we want is to have a healthy herd of livestock. We have to have a protected herd of livestock, and we have to improve the infrastructure of the livestock trade market, whether it's the livestock market, slaughterhouse, and other facilities. And for what we have done so far for the last 4 years, we have made the Meat Inspection and Control Act, we have made the pathways plan, we have made more than 100 new graduates from veterinary school, which is a very important school for Somaliland and also for the veterinary and other graduates from Ethiopia, Sudan. We have almost doubled the veterinary doctors for the last 3 years compared with the last 3 years. We have now
a Minister of Justice which is capable of promoting and coordinating justice institutions. Among the key points in the work plan are improving the cooperation and collaboration of the justice institutions by clarifying their mandates, roles, and responsibilities, enhancing the capacity of the judicial system, enhancing the capacity of the High Judicial Council, mainly for the purpose of making the judges accountable, strengthening judicial independence, bolstering judicial impartiality and transparency, strengthening the infrastructure and institutional capacity of the justice institutions, coordinating, facilitating, promoting, and expanding the general provision of and access to legal aid services in Somalia.
Colleague, and one of them is, I heard you were saying forestry, so many percent, GDP. Are you talking about charcoal? So, because there is no forestry and as such in Somaliland. The forestry we always mention is a forestry that's planted, looked after, when you have the States, Australia, America, anywhere else. Here, we have something else. The other point which I did not hear is we have a problem with land use problem. I don't know if you have mentioned it, but I think you have mentioned somewhere. And the erosion is so frightening that also the carrying capacity is something we thought probably you can mention in your area, because when you go from above the airplanes, or what we call remote sensing system, you see the land full of trees, but actually they are not trees, they are invaders. But when you go to the ground, you find some other trees which are useless for tenants. So what I'm saying is just some of the information and percentage may not be very reliable. The other point I would like to mention here is the production crop production of this state. The soil is so tight that our production is so low that maybe we need something else to do. Or to do something, our problem is watershed problem, and charcoal problem, land-based abuse, because we are now, villages have increased 10 times or 20 times. So whenever there is village around here, you have desert. So what I'm saying is just these few things, and I want you to probably include it or reconsider. Thank you very much.
This is the priority of the labor. This is the priority of the Minister of Labor and Social Affairs. Number one, vocational training. It is what we are prioritizing. Number two, nationwide. As you are aware, Somaliland has established Minister of Labor and Social Affairs with the collaboration, Minister of National Plan, has established Job Center 2013 July. And we are like to expand other 5 regions. Triple B employment generation programs. This is what we are prioritizing. Short-term labor incentive employment opportunity and creation. Somaliland Youth Business Fund of prioritize. Also what we like to mention here, to activate trade union. It exists, but it does not work. We like to activate it and develop labor market information system.
All strategic priorities that are actually developed on the side of the development partners are anchored in the Compact and Somaliland arrangements, which actually which have been defined with the main input from government. So I think yes, we are actually aligned to the government's priorities. And I don't think here that we have really a problem of who sets the priorities first. So we have the frameworks, that's why they're there, and that's why it's also for us easier actually in terms of formulation. It's afterwards it's the ongoing process of exchange and refining what do we do exactly, where we really have to put an eye on and see that we have good processes, a good exchange on how actually we implement those priorities.
Deputy Manager of the One newspaper, Umar Mohammed Farah, informed SLN TV reporters about the achievement by the government-subsidized newspaper which trended to the new design and made before by the print media in Somaliland.
The One newspaper, a newspaper which exclusively reports on the development achievements by the government of Somaliland, as well as on conveying government objectives to public in progressively more impartial and unbiased means. Umar Mohammed Farah, speaking on achievements made by the newspaper ever since the current president held office, stated that the newspaper began reporting on events taking place throughout Somaliland for a large audience with different languages including Somali, English and Arabic. And with this language the newspaper achieved helping the citizens and foreign audience to remain updated with the daily papers being printed by the One. In regards to pages published by the newspaper, Umar Farah confirmed that Dawan continues to publish more pages in comparison to other newspapers in Somaliland. The newspaper became increasingly popular among citizens in Somaliland since the current administration came to power, as well as the newspaper have been given access to sufficient funds and operated independently to serve a wider audience nationwide.
The coordinator of Ministry of Livestock in Sarar region elaborated on the task and accomplished progress at the Somaliland Ministry of Livestock in Sarar. The coordinator of Ministry of Livestock in Sarar region held a press conference in Ainaba. The coordinator elaborated on the selection of topics including the task and the accomplished progress of the Somaliland Ministry of Livestock in Sarar. Osman Abubakar Haji Ahmed emphasized the current situation of the livestock in Sarar region. The coordinator also complimented the President of Somaliland, Ahmed Mohamed Mohamud Silanyo, on the progress he managed to accomplish throughout the nation. Osman Abubakar Haji Ahmed also commented on the solved issue within the ruling party Kulmiye and pointed out there's positive outcomes when two individuals engage in conflict as long as there's a reliable third party. Conclusively, the coordinator congratulated the residents of Sarar region on the cooperation with the Ministry of Livestock on the livestock progress in Sarar region. Sheikh Ahmed Hurre Bouh, represented for transfer in fishing equipment by Qorchet Somaliland community in the UK, handed over donation to the Deputy Governor of Salal region.
Sheikh Ahmed Hurre Bouh was represented for transferring a donation of fishing equipment by Qorchet Somaliland community residing in the UK and handed over a donation of 3 fishing boats to the Deputy Governor of Salal region. Deputy Governor of Salal region, speaking at the event, commended efforts of the Somaliland diaspora in the UK for helping encourage the fishermen and increase productivity for Salal region. The Deputy Governor stated that this will further productivity of fishermen and urged other citizens to follow suit. Fishermen and residents of the city spoke at the donation handing over event. They stated that it is important and needed to provide such a donation for the residents of Salal region and ensure that residents increase consumption and utilization of fish and other maritime resources.
You still tune to the English news program on Somaliland National Television, the only Somali-speaking channel with an English news program. And now for our international headlines in detail. Greek announces government reshuffle in fallout from European election defeat. Last month's poor showing in European parliamentary election has prompted a government reshuffle in Greece. A spokesman of the ruling New Democracy Party announced that 8 ministries out of the 20 have been replaced. The key change is a new phase at the Finance Ministry. Gikas Hardovelis is a US-trained chief economist at Eurobank who has already served as advisor to 2 previous governments. His experience will be drawn upon the negotiations for a possible 3rd international pilot later this year. He's replacing Yanis Stornaras, who is tipped to take off the governorship of the Bank of the Greeks. Prime Minister Antonis Samaras' reshuffled cabinet is dominated by MPs from his own party, with a few from his socialist coalition partner PASOK. Far-left opposition party Zerizik, which defeated Samaras in the EU election, has dismissed the change as irrelevant. That's all the news we have for you tonight. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.